Welcome to Brain Vision.
Okay, so the first part of the problem asks for us to calculate the profit for each quantity, and then ask us how much should a firm produce to maximize profit. Well, this is pretty simple. So what we can do is we are going to just subtract the total revenue less the total cost, and that's going to equal our profit. So for each one of these columns here, we're going to go through and calculate the profit. So let's do that right now. So for the first unit, if we produce 0 units, then our total cost is 8. So we would get a profit of -8 for that 0 unit. Bump over here, all right, total cost is 9, total revenue is 8. We're still taking a loss, so that'd be -1. All right, for our second unit, all right, now turn to profit. We should have a profit of 6. Total revenue on the third unit is 24 minus 11. So in that case, we will be making $13 of profit. Bump over to the next unit, and we will be making 19. On to 5, 21. 6 units, 21. And at 7 units, 19. Now, what should jump out to you right here is that the move from 6 units to 7 units gets us less profit. So a rationally minded business owner would never want to make this jump. You're losing money for the next unit you're producing. The amount of profit I can make, $21. So how much should a firm produce to maximize profit? Well, it should produce 6 units of whatever item it is making. Okay? All right, so that's profit. On B, it asks for marginal revenue and marginal cost for each quantity. So let's go ahead and do that. When we think about marginal revenue, right, that's just saying what is the revenue from producing the next output, right? The next item, the marginal unit. So if we're moving from 0 to 1, well, what is the marginal gain in revenue there? Well, so we used to be making 0 revenue. Now we're making 8. So our marginal revenue in that case is 8. Okay. Well, if we move from 1 to 2, right? That means we're now going to move from revenue 8 to 16. Well, again, our marginal revenue is 8. Well, you should pick up on a pattern really quickly that if you go through and do every single one of these, surely enough, the marginal revenue is 8 at every turn. So what does this tell us? Well, for every extra unit this firm is producing, it is still getting the exact same revenue from the next unit. So what does that tell us? Well, this is a price-taking firm. What does that mean? If it's a price-taking firm, well, it's in a competitive market, which is going to answer a next point in part. But real quickly, let's get back to it. Let's get into our marginal cost real quick. All right, marginal cost. Right, so that's what we're doing next. All right, so here it's just the same thing, moving from unit to unit. What's the difference in cost? So as we go from 0 units to 1 unit, our marginal cost is 1. 9 to 10, 1. 10 to 11. All right, 11 to 13. All the way out to when we're going from 6 units to 7. Notice that we have a big jump in our marginal cost of 10. Okay, so that completes that the problem. We need to go over and graph this, and we're going to see something that picks up on this. So if we go over to our graph, you'll notice if you plot this out correctly, that for our marginal cost, remember over here, 1, 1, 1, all right? So we have the flat curve here, and per the instructions, it says we need to plot this in a line. So as we move past, what do we say? We move from 3 units to 4 units, you'll see that our marginal cost starts to increase. This intersects with our marginal revenue, which we said was a flat 8 for every unit, and this intersects at 6. Well, what does this have to do with one another? Well, notice that marginal revenue and marginal cost intersect right at the point where we know, that profit is maximized. So right there, remember that's where our profit was maximized. No surprise here, that is actually where these lines intersect. So, like we mentioned earlier, it is in a competitive industry because we see this really flat marginal revenue curve. And then also, can we tell if this industry is in long run equilibrium? Well, we actually can't tell because we have no information on long term entry and exit. So we do not know the answer to that question.